Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll talk a little bit about the Bukit Timah school belt. Right? Why do I suddenly want to talk about Bukit Timah school belt? Because recently we just had a successful launch of a new launch in that area called Dunearn House. And of course, after Dunearn House, the next launch in that area would be Amberwood at Holland by Simlian. But the whole story would not be complete without touching about the schools along that road. So how it goes is more than 100 years ago, Bukit Timah was largely undeveloped. It has some kampong here and there, but generally there were big plots of undeveloped land. And all this whole big area of Bukit Timah was basically a plantation, a far cry from the high-end residential district that we know it as today. Back in 1903, the railway road was opened to link the northern part of Singapore, which is Kranji, down all the way to central area, central being the Singapore CBD at that point in time. So it's our Marina Bay currently. Alright, so the railway passes by Bukit Timah area, and in 1932, Bukit Timah actually has its own railway station. And because of this connectivity, which eventually links up to the Malayan railway network, which is Malaysia today, because of this connectivity, the population starts to explore Bukit Timah as a residential enclave because of this railway connectivity. So we see more people moving towards this Bukit Timah area to build houses, of course, acquire land and build houses. So the railway road actually functioned pretty much like our MRT of today. And of course, with the proliferation of houses and residential area, there needs to be school as well. And that brings us to the first school, which was in fact opened back in 1889, which is Pei Hwa Presbyterian School. The whole idea of this school was actually to provide free education to the villagers around Bukit Timah at that point in time. And fast forward a little bit back to the 1900s, so between 1920s, 1930s, that time frame all the way until 1990s, many of the schools that we know of today within Bukit Timah, they were established back in the central area, meaning to say the Marina Bay area of today. They were looking for bigger plots of land to expand their campus. And of course, with the railway connectivity and whatnot, naturally they looked at Bukit Timah as a place for them to expand. And lo and behold, because there were a lot of undeveloped land, schools acquire all this undeveloped land to plant themselves or to move over eventually to expand their footprint. So we saw this begin with Hwa Zong. So Hwa Zong started in 1923 and they are currently occupying one of the most prominent, largest plots of land along Bukit Timah for their integrated schools basically. And then after that, we have Nanyang Girls' School, which was actually established in 1970 in Dhoby Ghaut. But after several rounds of moving here and there, in 1999, they eventually moved to their current location along Bukit Timah. As for Methodist Girls' School, MGS, they were actually established back in 1887 in Short Street, which is near in River Valley, in fact, by this lady called Sophia Blackmore, and eventually they again move around before finally settling at their current place at Blackmore Drive, which is coincidentally named after their founder, so at Blackmore Drive. And this was in 1990s. Okay, so because these schools were established for such a long period of time, they have ample of time to build up their reputation. So students go in there with and then they perform well, and then because of this reputation, it attracted even more academically bright students to enroll into that particular schools or this group of schools, and eventually it rinse and repeat many times to form that solid reputation that they have today. Of course, this was also helped by the strong alumni base that they have. So as students enroll into that school, graduated with good grades, and then think highly of that school, eventually they want their children to enroll into the school as well. So they basically register themselves as alumni of that particular school, and eventually this base built, and words of mouth spread and reputation we built from there, and these schools grow into what we currently known as elite schools of today, located along Bukit Timah. Therefore, in today's context, it is extremely important to be staying within that 1 kilometer radius from that school, because with the proximity, it allows you to enroll, or rather have a chance to enroll your child into the Phase 2C registration period, because that is when the proximity to school is taken into account. And based on the priority, obviously it will be for Singaporean child that is located within 1 kilometer before slowly descending down the order to Phase 3, which is for everybody. But as we know, all these popular schools within this area is highly contested. Every single slot is highly contested. Therefore, those without affiliation, those that do not have any existing child that are already inside, or any connection with any clans or religious groups that grant them, higher priority in terms of school admission. So this is one of the best bet they have that they can use. But of course, again, it is non-guaranteed. It doesn't mean you stay within 1 kilometer sure 包价, but it's at least you have a fair shot at this together with the others staying within this 1 kilometer radius. And with the growing number of these elite schools along Bukit Timah, naturally it attracted the families of all these high net worth, or some of them are even ultra high net worth individuals and their respective family, to move within this area to be close to the desired school. And hence, Bukit Timah slowly evolved along the way into the high-end residential enclave that we know of it today. Okay, and specifically in regards to the non-landed residential segment, data here shows that over the past 15 years, prices have grown 70+% in terms of per square feet. Okay, so we have different color lines over here. The blue line is actually referring to the 3-bedroom PSF growth since 2011 till 2026, which is now, while the yellow line refers to the 4-bedroom PSF growth within the same period. Notice in the legend there is a purple color segment, but we do not see it within the chart. This is because currently in the stretch of Bukit Timah, at least within 1 kilometer of King Albert Park MRT station, there are no regular 5-bedroom units available. So any 5 bedrooms within that area, it is actually the 5-bedroom penthouses, and they are far and few in between in terms of transaction. Maybe every couple of years one unit change hand. That is why there is no trend being displayed over here. But as you can see in 2026, and I am only referring to the resale market over here. I have deliberately excluded the new launch market just to give my audiences here an idea of how much it takes to buy something in Bukit Timah from the resale market. So it is currently trading around 2003 to about 2004 per square feet, and this is on average. Later, when I dive deeper into the details, we will see that some of these resale developments can actually transact way higher than what is being projected in the average price trend here. The strong and steady growth in this area actually proves that there will be evergreen demand from homeowners or aspiring homeowners to move into this area, because this is like moving to Bukit Timah is like the ultimate boss moment, right? If you are moving into a condo, like this is like ultimate already, one of the ultimate lah. So in Singapore there are a few ultimate places, CCR area. So this is like one of ultimate, where you are in a prestigious District 10 address with schools around and with the sort of amenities that befits the status of the residents over here. So it's like the ultimate already. There's no more ultimate after this unless you upgrade into the landed segment. So within the landed segment, there's also like the OCR, ASEAN, and of course here in this area would be again the ultimate boss moment for landed upgraders. So basically, people who have already made it into this area, there is in a way nothing else for them to upgrade to lah. That is why with the limited or very limited supply of new developments over the past couple of years, it has in a way so-called forced home buyers to move into or buy into resale developments because of a shortage of new supply. And like I said, people that have already moved in, very few will actually move out. So, but the desire to move in here is actually pretty strong from those that are currently not within the Bukit Timah belt lah. Of course, some of the main reasons why they want to do so is the schools at the location, and of course maybe the prestige lah. So looking at the past transacted resale prices for 3, 4 and even 5-bedroom units, right? What do you expect to pay to be able to move into this prestigious enclave? Okay, so from this chart here, you can see it is plotted in the scatter plot kind of a method rather than a straight line. It shows you that the price range in absolute terms is actually pretty wide. Okay, so again, there are 3 colors, the blue color being the 3-bedroom transacted prices. So one dot is one transaction. The yellow represents 4-bedroom, and purple, if you are eagle-eyed, you probably spot one dot over there. So there's only one 5-bedroom transaction over the past 15 years in within 1 km of King Albert Park MRT stations lah. So how much is it actually? As you can see over there at the side, in 2026, on average, a 3-bedroom resale market will cost you minimally around $3 million, with an absolute price range of around 2 million plus, and it can go all the way closer to $4 million. But on average, it's $3 million lah. Of course, the 2 million odd price would be those maybe boutique developments that are very old, without facilities, without lift maybe even. Then for 4-bedroom, the price gap to a 3-bedroom is actually pretty big at 4.4 million, meaning to say the price gap between a 4-bedroom and 3-bedroom is actually $1.4 million. So to jump from that 3-room to 4-room, you need to up your budget by about 1.4 million. So the absolute price range for a 4-bedroom in this area is around 3 odd million all the way to about $6 million. Okay, and for that singular 5-bedroom transaction, which actually took place in 2023, it was actually a 5-bedroom penthouse unit at this condo development called Cascadia. It changed hand for $7.26 million. So there you have it. In this area, there are currently no regular 5-bedroom, meaning to say those like similar to your normal 3-bedroom, like your level 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever, not the top floor penthouse unit type. So there are no regular 5-bedroom units within this area. Okay, that is why there is only one transaction over the past 15 years. Now, if you're looking to buy a home around the MGS area within 1 kilometer of King Albert Park MRT station, these are most probably going to be some of the units or some of the developments you will place your attention on, and these are the resale options. Okay, so we will run through these options in chronological order from oldest to the youngest. So the oldest development here would be Maple Woods TOP in 1997. The 3-bedroom units sizes actually varies quite a fair bit, from 1,300 odd square feet to about 1,600 square feet. And there are a mixture of odd shaped layout like this, as well as something that is more regular in shape. Of course, regular shape means there will be no issue in terms of furniture placement and all, but if you are looking to, be a bit more cautious on your budget and you go for the smaller units, generally you will find units with odd shape like this. So it will make, like for example, in the master room, you want to position your bed and then create space for wardrobe, a bit challenging. So that is something for you to take note of. Another thing is, because all these developments are the pre-harmonized era, you will see the aircon latch space over here, which is counted towards this 1,300 plus square feet in size. And then other than that, the utility room is there, so you do have a storeroom, but if you are planning on housing someone in the utility room, then it will be a bit of a challenge due to the size that is presented here. Take note, this staircase is not part of the house. This is your common staircase outside. Floor plan that are provided during that era is very common to include all this common space within the floor plan itself. Next, of course, would be Tesserina. Comparing Tesserina to Maple Woods, Tesserina would be a better option in my opinion, due simply by the fact that it has a slightly better and regular layout. It is also 1,300 odd square feet, and similar to Maple Woods, as well as developments that are built in the late 90s to the early 2000s, there are generally no balcony. So for Tesserina, this unit, honestly speaking, nothing much to complain about. The only thing is, you can see this common room here is a little bit small, that can only fit a single bed. If you put in a queen size bed, then it will probably block your corner window over here, which is something that you want to think about. Similarly, you have an aircon latch, which in today's context, in the harmonized era, is not counted towards your square footage. This one will actually contribute another 7 to 8 square meters in space to your 1,003 square feet. The other thing that I want to point out here is that your master toilet and your common toilet, they are located in the center of the house, meaning to say you won't be able to get windows in both the toilets. Another thing, if you look at the kitchen, it is positioned over here, and if you realize here, there are no windows at the kitchen. So when you cook in the evening or at night, before you turn on your light, it can be quite dark, because the only form of ventilation will be through the yard over here. So something to take note of. I don't think it's really a game changer, but I think the kitchen during the 5-6 o'clock time where the sun is setting and you want to go into the kitchen, it will be a little bit dark in that sense. After Tesserina, of course, we have Nexus, which is TOP 1 year later, 2007. So Nexus, in terms of the overall unit layout, is very similar to what we can find in the harmonized era as well. But of course, during this late 2000 period, you can find all these planter box, bay window from all the bedrooms. Of course, aircon latch, anything pre-harmonized, you have an aircon latch. Your bathtub, all these to me are wasted space. So if we were to exclude all this wasted space out from the unit, I believe this 1,200 square feet unit will come down to about 1,050 square feet thereabout. So that will put it right smack in terms of sizes, similar to what you can find in the 1,000 square feet pre-harmonized kind of a development. Another thing to take note here is, if you notice, and if you're eagle-eyed, you will notice this room width is actually slightly narrower than the other common room, which renders this room only being able to fit a single bed instead of both rooms being able to fit a queen size bed. So something to take note of, especially for developments during that era. Garden Vista. So Garden Vista is actually in 2006. I forgot to cover Garden Vista before I go to Nexus, but then again they are 1 year apart, so not too much of a difference. So Garden Vista doesn't have a balcony. Layout wise, you can see it's very similar to Tesserina. So from here, back then it is not very common for developers to include drawings of all the bed sizes into the room. I would presume these two common rooms can fit queen size, but a bit doubtful lah. So in that sense, maybe one can fit queen size, one is a single bed. Then you still have all this bathtub, slightly bay window, and as well as all these aircon ledges over here lah. So overall, 1,130 square feet. If I were to exclude all the unnecessary space, this would probably cut it down to 10xx square feet. So it's again very similar, very in line with the 1,000-ish square feet kind of a harmonized era development. Next up, of course, we have something newer at Cascadia. Cascadia is 2011. Let's compare it in tandem with Floridian because they are again 1 year apart. So you can again see the commonality in the sense that you have planter, bay window, bay window, bay window. You have your bathtub, aircon ledge, bay window. And then similarly, Floridian, you have again bay window, and in the private lift some more. Planter over here, bay window, bay window, bay window, bay window, bay window. And then you have an AC ledge. And at the back here, you have a terrace. So this terrace to me is still okay. You can use it as a yard area. So to me, that terrace, it's okay lah, good to have lah. But of course, if we were to exclude all those unnecessary space, especially for Cascadia, from 1173, you exclude all this space, I think easily this would drop down to again a 10xx square feet kind of a unit. But Floridian at 1,006 square feet, I believe the unit overall space is quite spacious lah. So at Floridian, they do have this 1,658 square feet 3 plus study unit. They do also have a 1,300 plus square feet 3 bedroom unit, but I am unable to find the 3 bedroom floor plan. That's why I can't show it to you over here. Take note, these are just common area which is not part of your house lah. So for Floridian, 1,006 square feet, even after you exclude all the wasted space, it is still going to be probably 14xx square feet in size. Overall, it's still going to be quite spacious, but with the size means your price that you pay is also going to be higher in that sense. Alright, and then finally, we will hit the newest kid on the block, which is Mayfair Gardens over here. So Mayfair Gardens is built during the era of the before the harmonized period. So this unit is 1,012 square feet in size. On paper seems decent, but if you were to explore further, you'll see that balcony here is unnecessarily large, and then your again AC ledge is something that we need to exclude. So if we were to exclude this, I believe unnecessarily large balcony and the AC ledge, this will bring the size down to 900 plus square feet in size. So 900 plus square feet in size in today's context is actually still okay in the harmonized era, but for Mayfair Gardens itself, I find two livability issues over here. Number one, if you realize the dining space, it is very dependent on this wall right outside the kitchen. So when there are people having their meals and all these chairs are in a way drawn out, right, it will cause a bit of an accessibility issue because people who wants to go to the room or people who wants to go to the kitchen may be blocked, and you need to shuffle a bit here and there, causing a bit of an inconvenience lah. As compared to the others within this page, right, you can see each one has their own dedicated dining space, which means anybody that is having their meal at that particular time and people want to access other places, there won't be this problem lah. Okay, next would be again the rather small storeroom. So this one is very similar to this utility. I'm not sure whether or not the width here can fit a single bed, or maybe this whole size is in itself already a single bed size, so rendering the place a bit cramped if you are planning to house someone inside that storeroom lah. But if you are going to use it only as a storeroom, I believe it will be fine. Okay, finally, a small little point to take note here is, despite the fact that both this common room can fit a queen size bed, but during the late 2010 era, so meaning that the 2017, 18, 19 and 2020 time period, right, they provide you with a queen size bed kind of a common room, but they are generally in the tune of 8 to 8.5 square meters in space lah. So with 8 to 8.5 square meters, this is the kind of space you can get lah. So one side of the queen size bed is super duper close to the window until you can't really put anything there. Maybe it's just that slot for your curtains to draw in and out lah. As compared to the common 9 square meters that you can find in today's context, whereby after even fitting a queen size bed, there are going to be space for 2 side tables lah. So these are the minor kind of a livability issue that I find in Mayfair Gardens that I believe consumers should be aware about when they are hunting for a unit in that area. Looking at the 4-bedroom layouts for the same developments, generally they exhibit the same characteristics as what I have explained in the 3-bedroom. It's just that now the sizes are bigger lah. So meaning to say you have an additional room, then your sizes are bigger, means your price quantum will be bigger as well. Especially for developments like Maplewoods, Tesserina, Floridian, you see that the jump or the size difference between the 3 and the 4 bedroom has a good 300 square feet difference. Okay, that is why you can see, especially for this couple of developments, the price quantum for a 4 bedroom is a lot higher than the 3 bedroom. But nonetheless, they still share the same characteristics lah. So I won't talk too much, and I won't want to repeat too much of what I have said earlier, else I sound like a broken recorder. So in general, just take note that these developments, you can see some of the rooms are not able to fit a queen size bed. Similarly for Cascadia, you can see both these common rooms as well as the one at the back are not able to fit a queen size bed. They can only fit single bed. For Nexus, yep, 2 common rooms are single bed, only one is queen size and master is king size. Floridian, in general, the units are larger, so I don't think that is going to be the issue. The thing is that after even you discount all the unwanted wasted space, the overall unit size is still going to be relatively big, hence your price quantum that you need to pay is going to be quite high lah. So these are generally some of the things for you to take note when considering a resale unit within 1 kilometers of King Albert Park MRT station to be near to the MGS primary school. Now that we have explored the resale options in that area, you may be wondering, hey, Alex, is there any new development in that area that I can consider? Of course, yes, there are 2 in fact that you can consider. Number 1 is Dunearn House, which was launched just last month. Dunearn House is developed by Frasers, Sekisui, as well as CSC Land. It's 380 units. It's a harmonized development. We will compare it with the other new launch in the area, which is going to happen in September, called Amberwood. So Amberwood, again, is a harmonized development. So these 2, they are very similar. It's just that Amberwood is developed by Sim Lian. So as we know, Sim Lian is one of the developers that are renowned for their layouts. So if you see their past track record, their past developments that they launched, they have achieved very good take-up rate as well as profitability. Take for example the largest condo in Singapore, Treasure at Tampines. Back then when it was launched, it was at around 1,000. In fact, it was as low as about 1,000, 1,002 per square foot. But in today's context, it has already breached the 2,000 PSF mark. So for those that were able to buy in the 1,000, 1,002 PSF, and if they were to sell it in today's context, the profit margin is easily about 800 to 900 PSF. And then the subsequent developments that they have done were very, very well received. Of course, you probably have heard of it, Emerald at Katong. So that's located in District 15, sold out, almost sold out on launch day, and sold out the entire development, 846 units, within the first 2 or 3 months from launch. Then, of course, they are also very active in the EC segment. They have built, or rather, they have launched Orel at Tampines as well as Revel at Tampines, and both as of now are fully sold. So, as you can see, Sim Lian, they are very good in terms of their layouts, and so far their launch prices has been pretty reasonable. So that's why I feel Amberwood is something that you can also consider aside from Dunearn House. So talking a little bit about Dunearn House, it has 380 units in total, comprising 2 bedrooms all the way until 4 bedroom. They don't have 5 bedroom. So to be having it apple to apple with what Amberwood is providing, they overlap in that sense that they both have 3 bedroom and 4 bedroom. So at Dunearn House, the 3 bedrooms were transacted during launch between 2.6 mil to about 3.37 mil. So of course, as usual, they will have the 3 bedroom compact, then all the way slowly moving up to the 3 bedroom flexi and a 3 bedroom premium kind of a layout. The comparison of the layouts after this, I will show it to you to let you have a better idea how Dunearn House is when we compare it to Amberwood. But as of now, prices wise, averagely Dunearn House 3 bedroom is around 2.96 million. Coming to the 4 bedroom, at Dunearn House averagely is about 3.95 million with an absolute range from 3.6 million for a 4 bedroom compact, 1184 square feet in size, to the 4 bedroom premium, which is 1378 square feet at 4.6 million. So as you can see over here, the price point wise, it's very similar to what you can find in the resale market. As I have shown earlier, in the resale market currently, 3 bedroom averagely is transacting around 3 million, whereas the 4 bedroom is transacting at about 4.4 million. In fact, if we talk purely in the 4 bedroom context, a new launch 4 bedroom currently is in fact from a quantum perspective lower than what you can find in the resale market. Dunearn House is located over here. So this is Dunearn House. It is currently unable to confirm that it is within 1 km to MGS, but from my own measurement, which is not official from the developer, it should have that 1 kilometer radius to MGS. Okay, the reason why it's unable to confirm is because the site map is not yet integrated into the one map system. Hence, from one map, we are unable to double confirm. Other than Dunearn House, of course, we have Amberwood over here. So Amberwood is the plot of land located at Holland Link. And as you know, this area in time to come, there will be other plots to be developed as well. So in a way, it's another transformational area. So of course, Amberwood to MGS, we can definitely safely say it is within 1 kilometer. In fact, there is that walking distance element from the side gate over here all the way to the main entrance of MGS. This will probably take you only 7 to 8 minutes walk via the park connector or the green finger that they are going to build within this plot of land itself lah. So these are the two developments that you can consider if you are looking at new developments within this area. So now let's zoom in into the site plan of both developments. As you can see here on top, we have Amberwood and below we have Dunearn House. So they are fundamentally two very different developments. Amberwood is located at the Holland Plain area. The official address will be Holland Link. So that area, you are surrounded by all the landed properties, the Resale Park, good class bungalows. So the living environment there will be very serene, peaceful and quiet, away from the hustle bustle, but yet still have that walking distance to MGS as well as walking distance to the King Albert Park MRT station. So as we know, King Albert Park MRT station come 2030 thereabout, plus minus 1-2 years, it will become an interchange with the Cross Island line. What that means is it will bring you direct connection to other places in Singapore as well, increasing the desirability and convenience. Okay, and the developer, understanding this phenomenon, have also planned and designed Amberwood to only have bigger units, which is 3 to 5 bedroom types only. So they don't have 1 bedroom, they don't have 2 bedroom. Okay, so 3 bedroom onwards. As compared to Dunearn House, so Dunearn House is located right beside Dunearn Road, along the main road lah. So in terms of distance to MRT, Dunearn House will be a little bit nearer to 6th Avenue MRT at about 5 to 6 minutes walk. And as of now, although unconfirmed, but I personally think the 1 km to MGS should be there. And also, Dunearn House, the developer has designed it to have 2 bedroom all the way to 4 bedroom. So they don't have 1 bedroom, they don't have 5 bedroom. Alright, and as you can see from a block layout perspective, Dunearn House has different types of blocks. So these two blocks at the back, block 760 and block 762, these two are what we call point blocks, which only has 4 units per floor, whereas block 766, block 768 and block 770, these are the conventional blocks where it has 8 units per floor lah. If we look at Amberwood, this cluster are all point blocks, alright? And block 48, 50, 52, there are only 2 units per level. So this is like a high-rise semi-D. In other words, every unit in Amberwood are corner units, whereas Dunearn House, there are intermediate units that, as you can see over here, generally they are the 2-bedroom unit types lah. So the living environment, the target market, it's very, very different. Amberwood is designed to target the own-stay market. That is why all units are big units, whereas Dunearn House is hoping to get a mixture of investor looking for that connectivity and convenience right near to the 6th Avenue MRT, as well as own-stay market, whereby they have the bigger 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom units that are located at these 2 blocks at the back. So fundamentally, they are 2 very different projects. In terms of size, Dunearn House land size is about 145,000 square feet in land size. Okay, it has 380 units, but 228 car park lots. Okay, Amberwood land size is about 183,000 square feet, but with only 212 units. So in terms of density, Amberwood has a much lower density compared to Dunearn House, and Amberwood has 1:1 car park ratio. So it will be friendlier to owners who drive lah in that sense. Okay, so that is a fundamental difference in terms of the layouts, the site plan, and also Amberwood is a low-rise development. So the highest or the tallest unit over here is actually up to level 5 only lah. Whereas Dunearn House, it has different height. So units on top here can go more than 15 stories high, whereas in front here is like 10 stories high. So one is I would say a mid-rise kind of a development, while the other one is a low-rise development. So it caters to very different target market. Now let's do a comparison of similar units between the two developments. I will not touch about the 2 bedrooms because Amberwood doesn't have a 2 bedroom type. Dunearn House has a 2 bed 1 bath, 2 bed 2 bath, as well as 2 plus study. If you are keen, you can of course PM me separately and I'll be happy to share all the details with you. So the common units that both sites have would be this couple of units. So let's start off with the 3 bedroom compact at 872 square feet, and both are actually the same size, 872 square feet. At one glance, you can see generally the layout, they are very similar. The only difference is the direction of your main entrance. One is like a 90-degree angle, one is in a way a bit of an L-shaped kind of an entrance. But generally they are very similar. Both have a bomb shelter that you can use as a storeroom. Both have a proper kitchen, enclosed kitchen with door. So there you have it. Both kitchen have windows. Okay, so with that, this is actually very similar in characteristic. The only, I would say, difference is probably the position of your bomb shelter. One is like that, one is like that. And then of course, one entrance is like that, one entrance is like that lah. So other than that, you both have a dedicated dining space, which means you don't have accessibility issue, especially for those that wants to go into the kitchen. And even then, your bedroom sizes, they look very similar, proper queen, king, queen, king. Of course, when you compare the master room, it seems to me that Amberwood master room could be slightly bigger than the one at Dunearn House, because as you can see here, after 2 side table, there's still this space over here, whereas at Dunearn House, that's about it lah. So very similar in unit type. Both are 3 bed 2 bath configuration with storage space. And then we have the 3 bedroom premium. So this one actually there's quite a fair bit of difference. Layout wise, they are very similar, so both enter from the side, okay? But of course, because Dunearn House unit is quite a fair bit larger at 1,000 square feet versus 893 square feet for Amberwood. So where is the difference? Dunearn House, you can obviously see there's a dry kitchen, whereby Amberwood doesn't have that over here lah. So overall, this one gives you that dry wet kitchen kind of configuration, whereby this one you come in here straight away, the wet kitchen. And in comparison, this space overall will feel much larger as compared to the one that you can find in Amberwood. Other than that, I would say the bedroom sizes, they are going to be quite similar. But this time around, the master room at Amber House is considerably larger than the master room at Amberwood. As you can see here, the window line, they are all the same for Dunearn House. Hence, this length is 4.3 meters. When you compare that to Amberwood, this one is not flat per se, so it comes in. That is why here would be the difference in terms of the master bedroom width. Other than that, your toilets all have window, which is good. And then both have a yard area, which is good. Both have a bomb shelter as storage, which is good lah. So all in all, Dunearn House 3 bedroom premium is a bit larger because this space as well as the master bedroom space lah. Next would be the 3 plus flexi. So as we can see over here, 3 plus flexi at Amberwood is 958 square feet versus 936 square feet at Dunearn House. Again, at one glance, they are very similar. The only difference is the orientation of your main door. So when it comes to the flexi, of course, at Dunearn House Flexi, you can access it from the kitchen and you can actually make a round back out to the living room. So this is basically, you can run around lah. But for Amberwood, it's a bit more limited. You can only access from the living room or the corridor towards the bedroom. However, judging from the drawing and the size, the flexi room at Amber House is bigger than the flexi room at Dunearn House. Meaning to say, if you want to, this one you can actually do a partition wall and then maybe do a door here and use this space as a guest room instead. Okay, this doesn't seem to be able to convert it into a guest room lah. The other feature which I feel is the main differentiating factor between Amberwood and Dunearn House is Amberwood has an additional bomb shelter that you can use as a storeroom, whereas Dunearn House doesn't have that. So in practicality sense point of view, the 3 plus flexi at Amberwood has both a storage room as well as maybe a guest room, or maybe even you can turn this into a helper's room because there's a window over here. So from a living practical point of view, this one would be a lot more practical as compared to the unit at Dunearn House, because this one you have to choose either to use it as a storeroom, or rather you can only choose to use this as a storeroom because of the size, or else you may need to do a bit of renovation, make this wall come out here a little bit so that this is wider to be able to convert this into a helper's room, but that would mean compromising the space of your dining. Okay, but other than that, your toilets, your bedrooms, your master bedrooms, your living room, they are pretty much the same. Next would be the 3 plus study. So again, the 3 plus study at Amberwood is a bit bigger, 980 square feet versus 947 square feet. All in all, layout wise, they are again pretty much the same. The only difference being the orientation of your entrance. Kitchen is going to be an enclosed wet kitchen. Both have a household shelter or a bomb shelter, and both have a study. But this is where the difference lies. So the study in Amberwood is longer, okay? Longer as compared to the one at Dunearn House. This means you have the flexibility of using, again, this one as a guest room or even a helper's room, meaning to say this one can be a room, this one can be a store. Whereas at Dunearn House, this size can only mean you can use it as an office or study or walk-in wardrobe. You can't really use this as a room lah, because the dimension doesn't fulfill the requirement. So I would say from a layout or from a size point of view, the one at Amberwood would be the one that I prefer, simply because that the study room has one extra function that you can consider using it as, which is a room, a study, an office, or a walk-in wardrobe, whereby Dunearn House only has 3 possibilities without the possibility of using it as a room. Then comes the 4-bedroom flexi. Take note, at Amberwood, they have another 4-bedroom that is, I would say, a 4-bedroom compact at 1076 or 1087 square feet. But because I don't have this unit type at Dunearn House, hence I'm not putting it up here for comparison. If you would like to know more about the 4-bedroom compact at Amberwood, please get in touch with me and I'll be happy to share the details with you. So back to the 4 plus flexi at both the developments. Of course, the Dunearn House 4 flexi is a little bit bigger at 1184 versus the unit at Amberwood. At one glance, they look almost identical. So 4 flexi at Amberwood, actually this flexi is not built for, hence this is actually by default when you collect it is a landscape layout. Your dining table can even be shifted and be put at this place. So if you do that right, this basically the layout becomes the same as Dunearn House. Of course, it still gives you that flexibility. If you want to build an enclosure here, you can turn this into a flexi room, but similarly you can also do that at Dunearn House as well. However, if you do so at Dunearn House, mind you, there's a dry kitchen counter over here, meaning to say your dining table, the other option for you is to put it at the balcony. You are not able to position your dining table here, else it will become a livability issue. Okay, so the difference here is that Amberwood doesn't have that dry kitchen counter over here as what you see in Dunearn House lah. But other than that, you can see the rooms, they are very similar. Queen, 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 king. Here as well, queen, 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 king. Alright, and then master toilet, common toilet, WC, master toilet, common toilet, WC. So I would say both units are almost identical. The only difference is your dry kitchen counter, rendering the usage of space to be a bit different. Now, this is the more atas version of the 4-bedroom, which is the 4-bedroom premium. As you can see here, for Amberwood, the 4-bedroom premium is 1249 square feet, whereas at Dunearn House is 1003 square feet. So difference of about 50 square feet in space. If we examine closely, the living, dining, balcony area, they are actually almost identical. This part and this part. Both units come in at the side over here. Both units have enclosable kitchen with an island in the middle. Both are landscape layout over here, and both have a bomb shelter as well as a yard and WC in the kitchen. So this part, the living, dining, kitchen area, the yard area, WC, bomb shelter area, they are very, very similar. Now, coming to the bedroom side of things, as you can see at Amberwood, you have one junior master at the back, while these 2 common room shares this common toilet outside over here. In contrast, for Dunearn House, you have in a way 2 junior master, because these 2 bedroom have direct access to this toilet in the middle. So in other words, compared to Amberwood, you just take this particular toilet and you put it in between the room over here lah. So in that sense, Dunearn House has 2 junior masters per se, or 2 common rooms with direct access to the toilet, and rendering this room at the back becoming the common room using this toilet over here. Now, when it comes to the master room, I believe everyone will agree that the one at Amberwood would be the preferred layout, because first and foremost, it has a walk-in wardrobe compared to Dunearn House, which is a regular wardrobe. Number two, you realize here there is a bit more space compared to the one at Dunearn House. And in terms of the toilet, both have his and hers sink. Both, of course, have your WC and your shower cubicle. So toilet-wise, they are pretty much the same. However, Amberwood will have the slight advantage in terms of the room space itself, simply because of that walk-in wardrobe space, as well as this extra space at the side compared to Dunearn House. So overall, this one is very evenly matched. It is depending on what you want as a consumer. Do you prefer to have 2 bedrooms having direct access to the toilet, rendering more privacy to the occupants of those rooms? Or would you prefer to have a bigger master room, a more atas kind of a layout with a walk-in wardrobe kind of a configuration lah? So I would say very evenly matched. Ultimately, it depends on what you need as a consumer. Finally, these 3 layouts are exclusive to Amberwood, because at Amberwood, we also have 4 bedroom with private lift, 1313 square feet, and this is a dumbbell layout kind of a 4 bedroom. So officially, this is known as the 4 bedroom luxe. And this particular unit type is located in the semi-D block. So meaning to say there are only one other neighbor on the other side of this private lift lah. So definitely the main differentiating factor here would be your private lift access direct from your car park. Coming out, again, you have a landscape layout. However, in terms of room placement now, you have a very well-defined junior master on this side and the other 3 bedrooms on one other side of the house. So this kind of layout will give you super efficiency because the walkway corridor space is kept to a minimal. Okay, but other than that, the rooms are pretty much queen, king. And then, as we have seen in the previous slide, the master room has a walk-in wardrobe, his and hers sink, as well as your kitchen that is enclosable with an island in the middle. For this particular 4-bedroom luxe, obviously at the back here, your yard space is a fair bit larger, giving you more room for what you call laundry lah. Then, of course, 5 bedrooms, again, there are generally 2 types. The regular 5 bedroom, where there isn't any private lift, as well as the 5 bedroom luxe, where there is that private lift access. So the regular 5 bedroom is located at one of the point blocks. Layout-wise, they are the same as the 4 bedroom just now. In addition, of course, you have bedroom number 5 over here. So it's 4 queen and 1 king lah, basically, in terms of the 5 bedroom. So 5 bedroom luxe is the same as the 4 luxe, just that for the 5 luxe, obviously you have one more room over here lah. 1,500 square feet. So if you look at the size itself, especially from a 4 and 5 bedroom perspective, the 4 premium 1,003 square feet harmonized, if we were to deharmonize it, it will become something like a 1,400 plus square feet kind of a unit, including the aircon ledge. So which is very in line with what the resale 4 bedrooms are doing currently around the Bukit Timah MGS area. And if you were to look at the 5 bedroom, there is basically no competition currently, or the competition is an unfair one, because as of now, 5 bedroom around the area are all penthouses. So anybody or any consumer who wish to stay in a 5 bedroom regular unit without any wasted roof terrace space, there isn't any option for them to consider. So personally, I feel the 5 bedroom here will have a bit of an advantage in the sense that of the scarcity factor. So you get 5 bedroom regular without any wasted space per se. I feel the 5 bedroom at Amberwood would be one of the unit types to look out for, especially for higher net worth individuals and their family who are wanting to move into this area but prefer to stay in a condo environment for the facilities instead of going for a landed. Let's discuss a little bit about the estimated pricing. As of time of recording, the official indicative price from developer for Amberwood is not out yet. However, judging from the fact that Amberwood's land price is very similar to that of Dunearn House, so Amberwood's land price is 1,432 per square feet per plot ratio. Dunearn House's land price was 1,410 per square feet per plot ratio. So assuming construction cost, labor cost, financing, everything else being equal, the launch price for Amberwood should be relatively similar to that of Dunearn House. And for your information, this is what Dunearn House has done for their 3 bedroom as well as 4 bedroom. So do expect for Amberwood, the 3 bedroom price point in terms of absolute range, it will be relatively similar because Dunearn House has already done to the tune of 2.6 million to about 3.37 million. So expect Amberwood's pricing for the compact unit to be around the 2.6-ish kind of a price point. The top end 3 bedroom plus study, probably it will be 3.2, 3.3 million thereabouts lah. Okay, for the 4 bedroom at Dunearn House, it has done on average about 3.95 million with an absolute range of 3.6 to 4.6 million. So at Amberwood, do expect similar range as well. Okay, however, at Amberwood, there's the 5-bedroom kind of a configuration that is not found in Dunearn House. So if we were to take the same per square feet range for Amberwood, expect the price quantum to be around 4 million to maybe 5 million kind of a price point. So take note, 5-bedroom at Amberwood, smallest unit is 1324 square feet, the largest unit is 1572 square feet. So there is a bit of a gap in terms of the square footage there. Hence the wide $1 million price gap lah. But disclaimer, all price point that I mentioned over here is just my own projection. It is not the official indicative price from developer. All indicative price will only be out closer to launch date, the preview date, and actual price of all the units will only be out on the launch day, or rather the booking day itself. Amberwood is confirmed to begin preview on 11th of September until 22nd September, with a booking confirmed to take place on the 26th of September itself. So if you are keen to find out more about Amberwood, do get in touch with me so that I can share more of the development's details and as well as a full floor plan with you, and also to analyze with you what are the facings that probably suits your profile more. Also, of course, to schedule a viewing of the show units once they are open to public. On the other hand, if you are also keen to check out Dunearn House, again, do check in with me on the availability of units, because as of time of recording, Dunearn House is currently 60% sold. So some of the units that you are looking at may not be available already. Of course, this situation changes on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. So whatever that you see available now may not be available by the time you are ready to make a purchase. So importantly is to come and check in with me on the availability of the units before heading down to the show flat. So finally, if you appreciate this kind of a long format analysis as well as comparison between surrounding new launch versus the surrounding resale, do consider to give me a like and subscribe on my channel, because it will give me more motivation to create more videos like this. It has also taken me many hours to do the research, compilation, as well as recording to make this video ready for your consumption. So once again, this is Alex and from PropNext. Hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.